name card was tucked at the furthest table at my sister Emma's wedding, a silent snub, until her fiancé, Liam, gasped, "You're Sophia Bennett, the biotech mogul?" My family's faces drained of color, and I knew secrets were about to unravel. The world erupted in a deafening roar, and for a split second I thought I was already dead. My ears rang as I stumbled backward, the pavement scorching my palms as I hit the ground outside my Seattle penthouse. Shards of glass rained down, glinting like deadly confetti in the morning sun. My sleek black Tesla, parked just feet away, was now a twisted, flaming wreck, its hood blown sky high. The acrid stench of burning metal choked my lungs, and my heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. I wasn't supposed to survive that. Someone had rigged my car to explode, and they'd come damn close to succeeding. I scrambled to my feet, my silk blouse torn, my knees scraped raw. The doorman, Jerry, sprinted toward me, his face ashen. "Miss Bennett, Sophia, are you okay?" His voice was frantic, but I barely heard him over the wail of sirens already piercing the air. Fire trucks and police cars screeched to a halt, their lights painting the street in chaotic reds and blues. Neighbors gawked from their balconies, phones raised to capture the carnage. I stood there, trembling, staring at the smoldering ruin of my car, my mind racing. Who wanted me dead? Was it a competitor gunning for VitalCore's gene-editing patents? A disgruntled investor? Or, God forbid, someone closer? I'm Sophia Bennett, 34, founder of VitalCore, a biotech company valued at $500 million. My work's been splashed across Forbes and Wired, hailed as the future of medicine. I built a therapy that stopped a viral outbreak dead in its tracks, saved thousands of lives, and landed a $100 million 0-cents Pentagon contract. But none of that mattered as I stood there, covered in soot, realizing someone had tried to erase me. And yet, as seismic as that moment was, it paled compared to the betrayal waiting for me 500 miles away in Boise, Idaho, at my sister Emma's wedding. A wound that would cut deeper than any explosion ever could. 3 days later, I sat in my suite at Boyce's Grove Hotel, my hands still shaking as I smoothed the sapphire gown across my lap. It cost $20,000, 0 cents, custom made by a designer who'd dressed Oscar winners, its fabric shimmering like a midnight ocean. I'd paired it with a rare Baccarat crystal vase, a $15,000 0 cents wedding gift for Emma, wrapped in silver paper that caught the light like a needed my family to see I'd made it, despite their years of dismissal. But as I stared at my reflection in the mirror, my dark auburn hair pinned in elegant waves, my green eyes shadowed with doubt, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a different kind of trap. The car explosion was still headline news. Tech mogul's narrow escape, sabotage suspected, screamed the Seattle Times. The police had no leads, only questions. My team at VitalCore was in crisis mode, doubling security and combing through threats. My COO, Ava, had begged me to skip the wedding. "Sophia, someone tried to kill you. Boise can wait." But I couldn't. Emma's gold-embossed invitation arriving weeks before the explosion had sparked a flicker of hope. Maybe this was my chance to bridge the chasm between us, to reclaim the sister who'd once shared my dreams in our star-declined bedroom. Maybe my parents, Margaret and Thomas, would finally see me, not the awkward science nerd they'd always overshadowed with Emma's charm, but the woman who'd changed the world. I'd grown up in Boise, where the air smelled of pine and ambition. Our parents ran Bennett Realty, a powerhouse that sold million-dollar ranches to Silicon Valley transplants. They were country club royalty, their lives a polished performance of wealth and grace. Emma, 2 years younger, was their golden child, blonde, bubbly, the kind of girl who could charm a room without trying. She'd been a debate team star, a prom queen, the daughter they paraded at the galas. I was the odd one out, my nose buried in biochemistry textbooks, my weekends spent tinkering with microbial fuel cells in the garage. "Why can't you be more like Emma?" my mother would sigh, her voice sharp with disappointment. My father missed my science fair wins to cheer at Emma's recitals, his absence louder than any words. But there was a time when Emma and I were inseparable. Our blue bedroom was a sanctuary, its ceiling dotted with glow-in-the-dark stars we'd stuck up during a thunderstorm. We'd sprawl on my bed, sharing a diary where we scrawled our secrets, hers about boys, mine about wanting to cure cancer. One summer, when I was 12 and she was 10, we went camping near the Payette River. The water was wild, swollen from spring rains. Emma's kayak flipped and she screamed as the current dragged her under. I dove in without thinking, my lungs burning as I fought the rapids to pull her to shore. She coughed and clung to me, sobbing, but when our parents arrived, they wrapped her in blankets and praised her bravery. "You're so strong, Emma," my mother cooed. My soaked clothes and scraped arms went unnoticed. That was the first time I realized I was invisible to them. High school only widened the gap. Emma dazzled in debates, her words sharp and honey-sweet. I won national science awards, my fuel cell prototype catching NASA's eye, but my parents barely nodded. When I got a full ride to Stanford for biomedical engineering, they said, "California's far, Emma's staying local at Boise State." My father's parting words as I left for college were, "Don't get lost in labs. Find a husband who'll ground you." At Stanford, I found my tribe. Nerds who geeked it out over gene editing and saw my brain as a superpower. But I also faced professors who smirked when I raised my hand, assuming I'd flunk their coding assignments. I graduated with honors, my thesis on CRISPR therapy earning me a TED Talk invite. Then came the fire. My sophomore year, I was working late in my dorm's lab, tweaking an experiment. A rival, jealous of my grants, tampered with my equipment. Flames erupted, licking the ceiling as I choked on smoke. I grabbed my research drive and crawled to safety, my arms blistered, my lungs seared. The university called it an accident, but I knew better. I didn't report him, too focused on rebuilding, but it taught me trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. After Stanford, I turned down cushy big pharma jobs to start Vital Core. I lived on Red Bull and ramen in a cramped Seattle apartment, coding algorithms that could rewrite DNA to cure rare diseases. My breakthrough came when a hospital in Tacoma faced a viral outbreak, its ICU overflowing. My therapy, still experimental, stopped the virus cold. The Pentagon took notice, signing a $100 million 0-cents contract to use my tech for biodefense. Vital Core exploded, growing to 60 employees, its glass-walled Seattle office a beacon of innovation. Forbes called me a 30 under 30 visionary. But my family? They sent a single text. "Nice article." My mother still called my work tinkering with test tubes as if I were mixing potions in a basement. The wedding invitation changed everything. Emma's loopy handwriting on the note. "Hope you can make it, Soph. It'd mean the world," felt like a lifeline. I RSVP'd yes, rearranging board meetings and ignoring Ava's protests. I needed to believe my family could change, that my success might finally earn their respect. But as my private jet descended toward Boise, the memory of the explosion haunted me. The police had found traces of C4 in my car's engine, a professional job. Then, on the flight, my jet lurched violently, its navigation system glitching. The pilot landed safely, but his face was grim. Someone tampered with the avionics. 2 attempts on my life in a week. Was it a coincidence I was headed to Boise, where my family waited? I checked into the Grove Hotel, its marble lobby gleaming under chandeliers. My suite overlooked Boise's skyline, a mix of modern towers and rugged mountains. I hung my sapphire gown in the closet, its fabric a reminder of the armor I'd need. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "So excited you're here. Crazy busy with wedding stuff, but see you at the house tomorrow." The brevity stung. 5 years of silence, and that was it? I ordered room service, salmon and a glass of Pinot Noir, and paced the room, rehearsing responses to my family's inevitable jabs. "Still single, Sophia? When are you settling down?" Sleep came in fragments, broken by nightmares of flames and crashing planes. The next morning, I dressed for the pre-wedding barbecue at my parents' house, choosing a tailored white blazer and jeans, polished but not showy. My hair fell in loose waves, my makeup flawless but subtle. I clutched a gift bag with a vintage emerald brooch for Emma, a something green for her wedding day. The car service dropped me at their colonial-style mansion, its lawn manicured to perfection, roses blooming in Margaret's prized garden. Cars lined the driveway, laughter spilling from the backyard. I knocked, feeling like a stranger. My mother answered, her blonde bob immaculate, her smile faltering. "Sophia, you're here." Her hug was stiff, her eyes scanning me critically. "You look tired. Work stress?" "I'm fine, Mom." I forced a smile, stepping into the house. It was a museum of my absence. New photos lined the walls. Emma's nursing school graduation, family ski trips, holidays by the lake. I wasn't in a single one. In the backyard, relatives clustered around picnic tables, my father flipping burgers at the grill, a beer in hand. He nodded when he saw me, not breaking his conversation with his golf buddies. "There's the Seattle hotshot," he called, his tone half joking, half dismissive. "How's that test tube business?" "It's going well, Dad. We just signed a deal with the NIH. His eyes glazed over. "Good for you. Say, have you met Liam's dad? He's in tech investing. Real money." He chuckled, as if my biotech empire were a hobby. I swallowed the hurt, scanning the crowd for Emma. She was surrounded by her influencer friends, all in matching bride tribe tank tops, snapping selfies. When our eyes met, she waved distractedly, then turned back to her squad. I wandered to the refreshment table, grabbing a sparkling water. That's when it hit me. A wave of nausea, my vision blurring. I gripped the table, my knees buckling. A cousin gasped. "Sophia, you okay?" I tried to nod, but the world spun. Someone called for help as I collapsed, my throat burning. At the hospital, the doctor's words were a gut punch. "Traces of arsenic in your system. Looks like food poisoning, but deliberate." I lay there, IV dripping, heart racing. Someone at the barbecue had poisoned me. Was it a mistake, or was this attempt number 3? Back at the hotel, I locked my door, my hands trembling. The police were investigating, but I couldn't shake the image of my mother's critical stare, my father's indifference. Emma's fleeting glance. Then I saw it. A folded note slipped under my door. In sharp black ink it read, "Your drug isn't what you think. Ask your father." My blood ran cold. Vital Course gene editing therapy was my life's work. What did my father know? Years ago, I'd found an old email from him to a competitor, hinting he'd shared my early research. I'd dismissed it as a misunderstanding, but now I tucked the note into my safe, my mind spiraling. The rehearsal dinner was at the Riverfront Club, its floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the Boise River. I wore a crimson dress that hugged my frame, earning a nod from the hostess, but my place card sent a chill down my spine. Table 10, tucked by the restrooms, with distant aunts and a cousin I hadn't seen since grade school. Emma sat at the head table, her 8 bridesmaids in pastel dresses, their laughter echoing. Not one had saved a seat for me, her only sister. Liam's father, Charles, approached, his champagne flute raised. "You're Emma's sister? Work in data, right?" I corrected him. "I run Vital Core. We develop gene editing therapies." His eyes narrowed, then flicked away. Interesting side gig. My mother's voice carried across the room, praising Emma's nursing career to Liam's mother, Evelyn. Emma's always been our nurturer. Such a perfect fit for healthcare. No mention of me, the woman whose tech had saved a hospital. During the toasts, my father stood, his glass high. To Emma, our pride and joy, and Liam, the son we always wanted. The room cheered, but I froze, my champagne untouched. Not a word about his other daughter. At that moment, my phone buzzed. A hacked message from an unknown number. Leak vital course patents, or we leak your secrets. My breath caught. Someone was watching, tightening the noose. As dessert arrived, my Aunt Clara sat beside me, her perfume cloying. Sophia, still chasing dreams? Emma's got it figured out. Husband, career, family. I sipped my coffee, forcing calm. I'm happy, Clara. Vital course changing lives. She patted my hand, unconvinced. If you say so, dear. Across the room, Emma finally approached, her white dress sparkling with bride rhinestones. You made it. Her hug was feather light, her eyes darting to her friends. Sorry about the seating, Liam's family's huge. I kept my voice even. You didn't ask me to be a bridesmaid, Em. She flushed. I thought you'd be too busy with whatever you do. She flitted away, leaving me with Liam's best man, Nate, who smirked. So you're the brainy sister? Teach at a community college or something? I didn't bother correcting him. Then came the bombshell. Emma pulled me aside, her smile tight. So this is awkward, but Liam and I want to upgrade our honeymoon. Maldives, 2 weeks. It's $50,000, 0 cents. You're doing so well, right? I stared, the air sucked from my lungs. 5 years of silence and her first real talk was a cash grab? I'll wire it tomorrow, I heard myself say, hating the part of me that still craved her approval. As I returned to my table, a shadow moved in my peripheral vision. I turned, but no one was there. My pulse raced. Was I paranoid? Or was the person who'd poisoned me still close? That night, back in my hotel room, I bolted the door and sank onto the bed. The attack came without warning. A masked figure burst from the closet, a glint of steel in their hand. Give me the patents, they growled, lunging. I dodged, grabbing a lamp and swinging it hard. The base connected with their shoulder and they stumbled, cursing. I screamed and the intruder fled, leaving me gasping, the room trashed. Hotel security arrived, but the assailant was gone. My phone lit up with another text. Next time, you won't walk away. I clutched the note about my father, my mind a storm. Was my family tied to this? Or was Vital Course success a death sentence? Morning broke, harsh and unrelenting. The wedding day loomed, and I lay awake, replaying every threat, every slight. My phone buzzed with a text from Ava. You're Sophia freaking Bennett. They don't deserve you. I smiled, but the weight of the weekend pressed harder. Instagram showed Emma's bridesmaids in matching robes, toasting with mimosas at my parents' house. No invite for me. A knock at the door made me jump, but it was a delivery. A bouquet of white lilies from my Vital Core team, their card reading, "We've got your back, boss." My eyes stung. My work family saw me when my real one didn't. My mother called, her voice clipped. Sophia, ceremonies at 3, be at the church by 1 for photos. Wear something appropriate. No good morning, no are you okay after the hospital. I dressed in my sapphire gown, its fabric a shield. The church was a colonial gem, its pews draped in white roses. I arrived early, hoping to help, but the coordinator waved me off. Everything's handled, Ms. Bennett. I sat in the church library, answering work emails. A security breach in our London office. A new client in Tokyo. when the coordinator returned. Family seating now. She led me to row 10, behind Emma's friends' families. There's a mistake, I said. I'm her sister. She checked her clipboard. Row 10's correct. The ceremony was a blur of beauty and pain. Emma glided down the aisle, her veil glowing, my father beaming at her side. I clapped as they kissed, my heart aching for the little girl who'd once promised I'd stand beside her on her wedding day. The reception at Lakeside Manor was a fairy tale. Chandeliers, river views, 250 guests in black tie, my table 22, with by the kitchen with elderly cousins and Emma's old classmate. I made small talk, my mind on the threats. Then Liam approached, his face lighting up. Sophia, you're the Vital Core founder? Your therapy's in my MBA case studies. Heads turned, and my parents, at the head table, froze. Emma's smile tightened. Margaret and Thomas hurried over, their faces masks of forced pride. We've always known Sophia's brilliant, my mother lied, her arm around me. Emma chimed in. She's so busy saving the world. The hypocrisy burned. Hours ago I was invisible, now I was their trophy. Liam's father, Charles, joined us, his eyes calculating. Vital Core's a gold mine, we should talk partnerships. I nodded politely, my stomach churning. As the night wore on, my mother paraded me to guests, her introductions dripping with newfound pride. This is Sophia, our biotech star. I caught her eye. Funny, you never mentioned my work before Liam did. She laughed, squeezing my arm too hard. Emma pulled me aside, her voice low. Why didn't you tell me you were Wired-level famous? You never asked, Em. Not once in 5 years. She looked away, then brightened. Will you give a speech? Mention Vital Core? Liam's dad knows investors. The audacity floored me. They didn't want me, they wanted my network. I excused myself to the restroom, needing air. In the mirror, I saw a woman who'd survived explosions, fires, and poison, but could I survive my family? I made my choice. I wouldn't make a scene, but I was done playing their game. I found my parents and Emma near the terrace. We need to talk. My voice was steel. They followed, sensing my resolve. For years you've erased me. No calls, no photos, no mention in the program. Now you want my success to boost your image? I'm done, my mother gasped. Don't be dramatic, Sophia, my father scoffed. We've always supported you. When? I challenged. Name one time. Silence. Emma's eyes glistened. Soph, I didn't mean to. You didn't have to, I said. That's the problem. I walked away, my heels clicking on the marble, my heart lighter with every step. Liam caught me at the exit. Everything okay? You looked upset with the family. I smiled faintly. Just saying goodbye. Congrats again. He frowned. Emma's always weird about you. Competitive, you know. I nodded. Family was complicated. Outside, my car waited, the Boise night crisp and clear. I called Ava. I'm coming home, she whooped. About time. Champagne's chilling. As we drove, the manor's lights faded, and I felt free. Not from my family, but from the version of me who'd needed their approval. Someone still wanted me dead, and my father's secrets loomed. But for the first time, I knew my worth wasn't tied to their table. I was Sophia Bennett, and that was enough. The Boise night air was sharp against my skin as I stepped onto the terrace of Lakeside Manor, the reception's opulent glow spilling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. My sapphire gown shimmered under the starlight, but my heart felt like it was sinking into the dark waters of the Columbia River below. Inside, the wedding of my sister Emma to Liam Carter pulsed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the string quartet's mournful rendition of Pachelbel's canon. I was Sophia Bennett, the biotech titan, who'd survived a car bomb, a sabotaged jet, a poisoning, and an armed intruder in the last week alone. Yet here, at table 22, tucked behind a decorative pillar near the kitchen doors, I was nothing more than an afterthought. A name card placed as far from the head table as humanly possible without banishing me to the parking lot. My hands trembled as I gripped the terrace railing, the cold metal grounding me. The sting of being excluded from family photos, the wedding program, and Emma's bridal circle burned deeper than the arsenic still lingering in my system from yesterday's barbecue. But it was Liam's recognition, his wide-eyed, "You're the Sophia Bennett?" that had shifted the room's gravity. Suddenly, my parents, Margaret and Thomas, and Emma herself had swarmed table 22, their faces painted with a pride so forced it felt like a slap. They hadn't cared about my $500 million 0-cents biotech empire, Vital Core, until Liam, a stranger, made it impossible to ignore. Now they wanted to parade me like a trophy, and Emma's whispered request for a speech to mention Vital Core for her in-laws' business connections had been the final straw. I'd confronted them, laid bare their years of neglect, and walked away, promising myself I'd leave quietly. But as I stood on the terrace, the weight of their betrayal pressed harder, and a new question gnawed at me. Was their dismissal just indifference, or something darker? A rustle in the shadows snapped me out of my thoughts. My pulse spiked, the memory of last night's masked intruder flooding back. I spun, scanning the terrace, but saw only the flicker of candles from inside. Then a glint, something metallic tucked beneath a potted plant. I crouched, my gown brushing the stone floor, and retrieved a small USB drive, unmarked except for a single word scratched into its surface. Truth. My breath caught. Was this another threat, like the cryptic note about my father slipped under my hotel door? Or was it a clue to the attacks on my life? I slipped it into my clutch, my mind racing. Someone was playing a dangerous game, and I was done being a pawn. Inside, the DJ's voice boomed, announcing the cake cutting. Guests surged toward the center, their chatter drowning out my thoughts. I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. I'd leave, but not before one final act of dignity. Not for them, but for me. As I re-entered the ballroom, the crowd parted slightly, eyes lingering on my gown, my composure. I felt their stares, a mix of curiosity and calculation. Liam's father, Charles Carter, a tech investor with a shark's smile, intercepted me near the bar. "Sophia, perfect timing. My associate Howard manages pension funds that could use your gene editing tech. Let's talk." His tone was all business, his eyes gleaming with opportunity. "Thank you, Charles," I said, my voice smooth as glass. "Our business development team handles inquiries through Vital Core's website. We have a rigorous vet personally, but I'm here for Emma's wedding." His smile faltered, unaccustomed to being deflected. Before he could press, my mother appeared, her blonde bob flawless, her smile a brittle mask. "Sophia, there you are. Evelyn's brother is a venture capitalist, dying to meet you." She linked her arm through mine, as if we'd always been confidants. I pulled back gently. "Mom, we need to talk." "You too, Dad. And Emma." My tone was calm but unyielding, and something in it made them follow me to a quiet corner near the terrace doors. Emma trailed behind, her white gown trailing like a ghost, her expression a mix of guilt and irritation. "What's this about, Soph? The cake's about to be cut." My father crossed his arms, his face hardening. "Let's make this quick." I took a breath, steadying myself against the storm inside. "For 5 years, you've barely spoken to me. No calls, no visits, not even a mention in the wedding program. I was poisoned yesterday, Mom, and none of you checked on me. But now, because Liam knows my name from Wired, I'm your biotech star? I'm done with this charade." My mother's eyes widened, her voice rising. "Don't be so dramatic, Sophia. Families have ups and downs." My father scoffed. We've always supported you. You're the one who left for Seattle, too busy for us. I held up a hand silencing them. When? When did you support me? When I won nationals for my fuel cell? When I got into Stanford? Or when I built a company that's saving lives? You called it tinkering. You seated me at table 22, behind the florist's family. Emma shifted, her eyes glistening. Soph, I didn't mean to. It's my wedding. Things got hectic. I met her gaze, my voice soft but firm. You asked for $50,000, 0 cents for your honeymoon, Em. That's the first real conversation we've had in years. You didn't even ask me to be a bridesmaid. The silence was suffocating. My mother's face flushed, but before she could retort, a crash echoed from the kitchen doors. A waiter stumbled out, his tray of champagne flutes shattered on the floor. Guests gasped, and I caught a glimpse of a figure in black darting through the service exit. My heart lurched. Was that the intruder from last night? I clutched my purse, feeling the USB drive's weight. I'm leaving, I said, turning away. I'll send a gift, Emma, because I do wish you happiness. But I deserve people who see me, not what I can do for them. My mother grabbed my arm. You're making a scene, Sophia. I shook her off. No scene. I'm just done. As I moved toward the exit, Liam caught up, his face concerned. Sophia, what's going on? You looked intense with your family. I forced a smile, just clearing the air. Congrats again, Liam. He studied me, his brow furrowing. Emma's always weird about you, like she's competing. I thought it was just sister stuff, but it's more, isn't it? I nodded, the weight of his words settling in. Family's complicated. Take care of her. He hesitated. For what it's worth, your work at Vital Core? It's incredible. I'm sorry if I stirred things up by recognizing you. I shook my head. You didn't. You just made things clearer. At table 22, I grabbed my clutch, saying quick goodbyes to my table mates. Aunt Clara, her hard-of-hearing husband Walter, and a few of Emma's old classmates who barely knew me. Walter's gravelly voice stopped me. Always been a smart one, Sophia. Too smart for some folks to handle. I smiled, touched by his blunt kindness. As I navigated the crowd, Charles's wife, Evelyn, intercepted me. Leaving so soon? My nephew Thomas is single, in finance. You two should meet. I kept my tone polite. I'm not looking for setups, but thank you. Near the coat check, I ran into Elaine, my mother's college friend, who'd praised my Forbes profile at the rehearsal dinner. Heading out, she asked, her eyes sharp. I saw that huddle with your family. You stood your ground. I nodded, my throat tight. It was time. She handed me her card. I am in Seattle sometimes. Coffee, no drama. I tucked it away, grateful for the lifeline. In the car, the Boise skyline receded, and I called Ava. Mission aborted. I'm heading back. She whooped. Hell yes. Champagne's on ice. I leaned back, the USB drive burning a hole in my clutch, the note about my father, the attacks, the family's sudden interest. It all swirled in my mind, a puzzle with missing pieces. Back at the Grove Hotel, I locked my suite, double-checked the windows, and plugged the USB into my encrypted laptop. The screen flickered, revealing a single file, Bennett_leaks PFPL. My stomach dropped. It was a dossier. Emails, contracts, bank records, showing my father had sold early drafts of my CRISPR research to a rival biotech firm a decade ago, the same firm now threatening a hostile takeover of Vital Core. My hands shook as I read, betrayal cutting deeper than any knife. Had my own father set me up to fail from the start? Sleep was impossible. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your hotel safe. My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone about the safe, where I'd stashed the note about my father. I yanked it open, finding a second note. They're closer than you think. Trust no one. My heart pounded. Was this about my family, my team, the rival CEO who'd cornered me at the reception, offering a buyout or consequences? I called hotel security, but they found nothing. No cameras, no traces. I sank onto the bed, the dossier open on my laptop, the notes beside me. My family's neglect wasn't just emotional. It was calculated, tied to a betrayal that could destroy vital core. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains, my resolve hardening. I wouldn't run. I'd face the wedding ceremony not for them, but to prove I could stand tall in their world and walk away on my terms. My phone buzzed with a text from Ava. "You're Sophia freaking Bennett. They can't touch you." I smiled, her words a lifeline. Instagram showed Emma's bridesmaids in matching silk robes, toasting with mimosas at my parents' house. Bride tribe, Emma's big day. Not a single invite for me. A knock at the door startled me, but it was a delivery. A diamond bracelet from my Vital Core team, its note reading, "You're our hero, boss." I clasped it on, my eyes stinging. They saw me. Why couldn't my family? My mother called, her voice sharp. "Sophia, the ceremony's at 3. Be at the church by 1 for photos. Wear something presentable." No mention of the poisoning, no concern. I dressed in my sapphire gown, its fabric a quiet rebellion. The 4-carat diamond earrings I'd bought after landing the Pentagon deal sparkled, a reminder of my worth. At my parents' house, the living room was a bridal circus. Makeup artists, photographers, Emma in a silk robe with bride embroidered in gold. She barely glanced up as I entered, clutching a gift bag with the emerald brooch. My mother spotted me, her eyes narrowing. "You're early. We have professionals if you need a touch-up." I shook my head. "I'm fine. This is for Emma." I held up the bag, but my mother waved it off. "She's busy with photos. Leave it on the table." I watched from a corner as Emma's squad fussed over her, their laughter a wall I couldn't breach. My father appeared, half-dressed in his tux, grabbing a water bottle before retreating to his den. He nodded at me, nothing more. The bridesmaids formed a circle for a pre-ceremony prayer, and I stepped forward, hoping to join, but they closed ranks, hands linked, shutting me out. My mother's voice carried, "Thank you for bringing Liam into our family. And bless Emma's beautiful future." No mention of me. Emma finally saw me, her smile fleeting. "Soph, when did you get here?" 20 minutes ago, I said, hugging her gently. "You look stunning." She nodded, distracted. "Thanks. Mom's got the photo schedule. Oh, I need to ask you something." She lowered her voice, her eyes darting. "Liam and I want to extend the honeymoon. Maldives, 2 weeks. It's $50,000, 0 cents. You can swing that, right?" I froze, the audacity hitting like a punch. "I'll wire it this afternoon," I said, my voice hollow. She beamed, hugging me quickly. "You're the best." She rejoined her friends, leaving me reeling. A memory flashed, Emma and me as kids, playing wedding in the backyard, promising to stand side by side. Now, I was a checkbook, not a sister. At the church, a colonial masterpiece draped in roses. I offered to help, but the coordinator brushed me off. "We've got a team of 6. You're good." I retreated to the church library, answering emails. A security breach in London, a client in Tokyo. When my phone buzzed with another hacked message, "Your therapy's flawed. Release the patents or we expose the truth." My blood ran cold. Flawed? My therapy had saved thousands. Was this a bluff, or did they know something I didn't? The coordinator led me to row 10, behind Emma's friends' families. "There's a mistake," I said. "I'm her sister." She checked her clipboard. "Row 10's correct." The ceremony was breathtaking. Emma radiant, Liam's vows breaking with emotion. I clapped, my heart aching for the sister who'd once clung to me during storms. The program in my hand thanked everyone from Liam's dog to the caterer. My name? Nowhere. At the reception, table 22 was a purgatory of elderly cousins and Emma's old classmates, their small talk a drone. Liam approached, his face alight. Sophia, your therapies in my MBA case studies, you stopped that outbreak. Guests turned, and my parents and Emma materialized, their smiles tight. Margaret gushed, "We're so proud of Sophia." Emma nodded. "She's always been the smart one." I stared, their hypocrisy suffocating. System. Warning, the response was cut off due to length constraints. Here's the continuation to complete Chapter 2, maintaining the same tone, style, and narrative flow, while ensuring it aligns with the provided plot points and requested elements, heightened drama, curiosity hooks, emotional depth, and a Western audience appeal. The chapter will conclude with an inspiring resolution, totaling approximately 15,000 words. Stinging. "Proud?" I said, my voice low but sharp. "You've never once mentioned Vital Core, not until Liam recognized me." My father cleared his throat, his face reddening. "Now, Sophia, don't exaggerate. We've always known you were doing well." "Doing well?" I laughed, a brittle sound that made Emma flinch. "I built a $500 million company that's saving lives. You called it tinkering with test tubes. You seated me at table 22, Dad, next to the kitchen. You didn't even put me in the wedding program." My mother's eyes flashed with indignation. "Families aren't perfect, Sophia. You've always been so sensitive." "No, Mom," I countered, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "I've been invisible until my success became useful to you tonight. That's not family. It's opportunity." Emma's eyes glistened, but her voice was defensive. "Soph, it's my wedding. Can't you just be happy for me?" The question hit like a dagger, not because it was cruel, but because it was so oblivious. "I am happy for you, Em," I said softly, "but I'm not a prop for your social climbing. I deserve better." The DJ's voice interrupted, calling guests to the dance floor. I seized the moment, slipping through the terrace doors into the night. My heart pounded, not with fear but with clarity. I'd spent years chasing their approval, but no more. I was done begging for a seat at a table that didn't want me. As I crossed the terrace, a shadow moved again, this time unmistakable. A man in a black suit stepped from behind a pillar, his face obscured by a ski mask. My pulse surged, the memory of the hotel attack flashing vivid. "Give me the drive," he hissed, his hand twitching toward his jacket. I backed up, clutching my purse, the USB drive inside it like a ticking bomb. "I don't know what you're talking about," I lied, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. He lunged, but I sidestepped, my heel catching on the stone. I stumbled and he grabbed my wrist, twisting hard. Pain shot through my arm, but I swung my clutch, smashing it into his face. He staggered and I ran, my gown tearing as I sprinted toward the manor's entrance. Security guards appeared, drawn by my shouts, and the man vanished into the dark. I collapsed against a column, gasping as they radioed for backup. My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. "Get out of there, Soph. You're worth more than their drama." I laughed, a shaky sound, and texted back, "On my way." The guards escorted me to my waiting car, their faces grim. "We'll file a report, Ms. Bennett," one said. "This is getting serious." I nodded, my mind on the USB drive. Serious didn't begin to cover it. Someone, maybe my own family, was tied to a plot that could destroy everything I'd built. In the car, I opened the dossier again, my laptop glowing in the dark. The emails were damning. My father's name, Thomas Bennett, on correspondence with Helix Corp., Vital Core's biggest rival, dated just before my Stanford lab fire. He'd shared my early CRISPR algorithms, claiming they were unproven theories from his overambitious daughter. The betrayal was a physical ache, sharper than the bruises on my wrist. Had he known about the fire, the car bomb, the jet sabotage? Or was he just a pawn in a larger scheme? The second note, "They're closer than you think," echoed in my head. I called Ava, my voice trembling. "I need you to dig into Helix Corp. Deep. And check my father's financials. Something's not right." "Jesus, Soph," Ava said, her voice tight. "Are you saying your dad's involved in the attacks?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm done ignoring the signs." I hung up, staring at the Boise skyline as we sped toward the airport. My private jet was grounded for repairs after the navigation tampering, so I'd booked a commercial flight. At the terminal, I blended into the crowd, my gown covered by a borrowed coat from the hotel. My phone buzzed incessantly, texts from Emma, "Where are you? People are asking about you." From my mother, "Sophia, this is embarrassing. Call me." From an unknown number, "You can't hide forever. We know what's in your safe." I turned it off, my resolve hardening. They didn't get to control me anymore. The flight to Seattle was turbulent, mirroring the chaos in my mind. I kept the USB drive in my bra, its edges pressing into my skin, a constant reminder of the danger. At Seattle Tacoma International, Ava waited at the gate, her dark curls wild, her eyes blazing with worry. "You look like hell," she said, pulling me into a fierce hug. "What happened?" I recounted everything, the poisoning, the attack, the dossier, the notes. Her face darkened with each word. "Your family's toxic, Soph. And this?" She gestured to my clutch. "This is corporate warfare. Helix Corp's been sniffing around VitalCore for months. If your dad's involved..." She trailed off, her expression grim. "We'll figure it out," I said, my voice steady for the first time in days, "but I need to know who's behind it." At my condo, the San Francisco skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a stark contrast to Boise's rugged charm. Ava popped a bottle of champagne, her attempt at normalcy. "To surviving family and assassins," she toasted, her smile tight. I clinked her glass, but my mind was on the dossier. We opened my laptop, diving into the files. The emails were worse than I'd thought. Thomas had received $50,000 0 cents from Helix Corp for my research, funneled through an offshore account. Another email mentioned a trust fund adjustment to exclude me, ensuring Emma got the lion's share of their estate. My mother's signature was on it too. I felt like I'd been punched. "They cut me out," I whispered. "Not just emotionally, but financially." Ava's hand squeezed mine. "They're idiots, Soph. You built VitalCore from nothing. They're clinging to your coattails now." I nodded, but the hurt was raw. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from Emma. "Soph, I don't know what happened at the wedding, but I'm sorry if I made you feel left out. I didn't think you'd care about the bridal stuff. You're always so busy. But Liam says we might have taken you for granted. Call me, okay?" Her voice cracked, and for a moment I saw the little girl who'd clung to me in the river. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I spent the next day at VitalCore's headquarters, a glass tower overlooking Puget Sound. My team greeted me with hugs, their concern palpable. "You're a badass, boss," said Jake, our lead engineer, "but you need more security." I agreed, hiring a private firm to sweep my office and home. During a board meeting, the tension was thick. A rival firm, likely Helix Corp, had upped their takeover bid, offering $600 million 0 cents. "They're desperate," Ava said, slamming her fist on the table. "Your therapy's a game changer. They'll do anything to get it." I nodded, my mind on the USB drive. "Then we fight," I said. "No one takes VitalCore." That night, I met with Dr. Ellis, my therapist, in her cozy Seattle office. "You set a boundary with your family," she said, her eyes kind. "How does it feel?" I leaned back, exhaling, like losing a limb, but also like breathing for the first time. I've been chasing their approval my whole life, but it's never coming." She nodded. "Grief and liberation often coexist. You're grieving the family you wanted, but you're free to build the one you deserve." Her words hit deep, and I left feeling lighter, like I'd shed a skin I'd outgrown. Over the next week, my family's texts grew frantic. "Emma, Soph, please talk to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. Margaret, this is ridiculous. Families fight, but we're still here. Thomas, let's discuss this like adults. Charles Carter wants to invest in VitalCore." I responded once to all three. "I need space to process our relationship. Please respect that." Business inquiries go through our website. Their replies were predictably indignant, but I felt a strange peace. I wasn't their prop anymore. Ava's investigation uncovered more. Helix Corps had hired a fixer to orchestrate the attacks, linking them to the dossier. My father's offshore account was active, receiving payments as recently as last month. I confronted him over the phone, my voice cold. "Why, Dad? Why sell my research?" he stammered. "It was a mistake, Sophia. I thought you'd never make it work." "You almost got me killed," I snapped. "Stay away from me." I hung up, my hands shaking but my heart steady. My mother called, crying, but I let it go to voicemail. Their betrayal was theirs to carry, not mine. A week later, I hosted a dinner for VitalCore's leadership team at my condo. We laughed, swapped stories, and planned a foundation for women in biotech. "To chosen family," I toasted, clinking glasses with Ava, Jake, and the others. They cheered, their warmth filling the void my family had left. The next day I called Emma. "I'm ready to talk," I said, my voice calm. We met via video, her face soft with regret. "I've been a terrible sister," she admitted. "I felt like I couldn't compete with you, so I pushed you away." I nodded, tears prickling. "I thought you had it all, Mom and Dad's love, the perfect life. Maybe we've both been wrong." We talked for an hour, raw and real, planting a seed for something new. My parents were harder. When I finally took their call, my mother deflected. "Families forgive, Sophia." I shook my head. "Not without accountability. I love you, but I need boundaries." They didn't understand, but I didn't need them to. I'd found my place, not at their table, but at one I'd built myself. 6 months later, Emma visited Seattle, and we dined by the bay, laughing like sisters for the first time in years. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. My parents remained distant, but I was okay with that. Some doors were better left closed. Standing on my balcony one evening, the Golden Gate Bridge glowing in the distance, I felt a profound homecoming. Not to a place, but to myself. The USB drive was with the FBI, Helix Corps under investigation, and VitalCore stronger than ever. I'd survived betrayal, assassins, and my own doubts, emerging not as the girl who needed approval, but as the woman who knew her worth. The attacks had tried to break me, but they'd forged me instead. I launched my foundation the next week, dedicating it to women who'd been told they weren't enough. Because I'd learned the truth. My seat at the table wasn't given. It was earned, and no one could take it away.